Kev, where were you when you took the picture of your future wife buying that 24-ounce bud?
That is the convenience store right next to my office. My office is not in the greatest part of town. I guess you kind of put that together.
Yeah, I made that leap on my own. I zoomed in because you mentioned the shoes. I wanted to see which ones they were. And at the top where I zoomed in, I'm like, that's a bud, I think. I went in closer, and it was a big, tall one. That's all she got on the counter.
I just loved it, man. I hear him saying like, "Oh, try another card," and I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding? All she's buying is this fence post, and meanwhile she's got brand new J's on."
Fence post. She is like the stereotypical example of someone who's in front of you, and you hear the teller say, "Do you want to try another card?"
When you hear that, that is now what you picture.
You look up and you're like, "Yeah, that's what I expected to see," especially someone in Air Jordans.
And now, how do I take a picture of this for the guys to relive this moment together?
Because you know the cashier wants to say, "Ma'am, what the fuck? Get out of here."
I don't think you're hitting the pickup game courts on the weekends, so why don't you return those shoes and buy some cheap Crocs?
Maybe spend the $225 on food.
Right.
John, your mic is up top today.
Yeah, last episode I had a lot of like, that because it was under me. So I'm trying something else. If I'm popping too much, let me know.
I like a pop.
Obviously, speaking of Jordan and the shoes and all the madness, because we only covered episode 1 and 2, and since then we're now up to episode 8.
8.
9 and 10 are yet to come. Do we know when they're coming out?
Sunday.
We have a lot to unpack, and I want to get to it in a little bit because we tend to go on and on. I wanted to get these real quick topics out of the way just because they're more fun, and we probably won't spend an hour on them. The ESPN, the whole sports world, is just dying for material because there's nothing going on. They must have been like, thank God we have this documentary in the can. We can spread it out over the span of like a month and a half because what else are you tuning into? That UFC thing without the audience? I think it's amazing how the UFC works without an audience and WWF just like doesn't. Like I don't even notice the audience when I'm watching UFC. You can't even see them through the cage.
Even if the match goes the whole length, it's still unbelievably quick. So there's not a lot of time for them to separate, take a shot of the crowd, see what's going on. Wrestling, sometimes there's not a lot going on. They got to pan out to the crowd, let someone take a long time to come in. So you're always seeing the crowd. Isn't it amazing? What did they name that an essential business in Florida? Wasn't that the story a couple weeks ago?
And I swear this governor lives in like the 90s because he's like, we're stuck at home watching reruns of Boy Meets World. I was like, are you aware of the internet up there? What are you talking about? He's like, we need entertainment. I'm like, we have unlimited entertainment at this point.
Do you know what's available to watch every day? Everything.
In fact, all the wrestling that's a lot better than what they're doing now is everywhere, and you can find it anywhere.
That's funny.
That was so strange to me. And then so Vince had to fire like half the crew to be able to put on shows. ESPN put out top 10 NBA stars of all time, but at first glance it seemed a little jumbled. Yeah. So what was the list, Chris? Can you pull it up? Do you have it handy, or do you need me to get it?
Yeah. So Jordan, obviously, LeBron, Kareem 3, Russell 4, Magic 5, Wilt 6, Bird 7, Duncan, Kobe, Shaq.
There's not one guy under 9.5 inches in that list. I'll tell you that.
Bird,
yeah.
Bird's 3.5 max.
Trade out Bird for Nick Foles, and this is a quality list.
Yeah.
My personal opinion on the list, I think the list is right. I don't know, you could probably shift a few things here and there, but I think overall, I don't know if there's anybody missing that I would put in the top 10. But I feel like, you could argue where people rank. Like, personally, I think Shaq probably should be a little higher.
Like, what's the knock on Shaq other than the free throws?
That he played like an extra 10 years by accident for like the Suns and the Celtics and the Cavs, and like they said like his last 8 years were no good.
The number one knock on Shaq isn't the foul shots. It's if he wasn't so big, he wouldn't be that good, which is just the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
There's tons of big humans that don't play at that level.
Right, that don't utilize their strength. And if you look at this list, we have a whole bunch of other giant men on it.
Yeah, exactly.
I know Kareem is the all-time leading scorer. Russell's won 10 championships, I think. I would take Shaq over both of them.
I feel like Shaq would just push in all of them in their primes, because Orlando Magic, Shaq, and early Lakers until like 2000, 2001, when it was like he put on more muscle but was more agile. I feel like he would just eat up any of those guys.
He could dribble a little bit. He could run. He could spin. And the only reason he couldn't shoot free throws is because his hands were so big. It was like shooting like a softball.
Yeah, it was like.
And you were shooting down, basically.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
The knock against Shaq is that he only had like a good maybe 7 years, really. Like all those other guys, look at the rest of their careers and their 10 plus. Even Jordan, I know, had 8 really good years, but he played probably 11 or 12 good years.
But did Shaq? Was Shaq the most dominant at a position? Arguably so, right?
Ever, I think.
And as a teammate, one of the best guys, because does Wade win one without him? Does Kobe win without him? Like, the argument is there that I don't want to say he's a compliment, but he was like a pivotal teammate too. He wasn't just a dominant player. He was a vital cog in the whole thing.
Oh, that's true though, Kev. He wasn't the guy. He shared it with someone on.
He always had Penny Hardaway in Orlando. He had D Wade in Miami. He had Kobe, obviously. And speaking of Kobe, not to tangent it off, but I don't like Kobe all the way at 9. I think I have Kobe a little bit higher.
I feel like these tall guys, and I hate, again, comparing eras, but I just feel like they played in a league that was a little softer and would not have lasted as long and had the scoring title and all these championships. But again, I don't like comparing eras. I just feel like there was a time where just Shaq was like the Barry Bonds of the NBA for about 4 years, where you just fouled him. You just didn't let him play.
Yes.
You just fouled him. You're like, oh, he's just too good. Just foul him and put him on the foul line, and he's not that great there.
So go back to college, and they have a 30 for 30 on it. It's awesome if you ever get bored and want to watch it. Tell the governor of Florida that it's available. But when he's in college, he's getting hacked in the SEC tournament. And I mean, like, violently hacked. I think it was against Tennessee. And Dale Brown, his head coach, runs out onto the court and is like in the players' faces, in the opposing coaches' faces, in the refs' faces, the whole thing. And the story, as it's been told, is that he literally pulls Shaq aside and he says, I know, like, Shaq was a big teddy bear, right, as a person. And he's like, I know you want to stay in school. I know you love campus life. I know you love, me looking after you. He's like, you have to leave school early to go to the pros because they're going to hurt you.
Yes.
Like, these kids are going to unnecessarily hurt you because they can't compete at your level. And they show the footage of these games in the SEC tournament of them just literally like mauling him, like the one kid and the other 3 kids on the soccer field, like walking on him. You know what I mean? And them they were afraid they were going to blow out his knees or hurt him, something like that. And they had to encourage him to leave early. So that shows his dominance.
Did he do anything in college? Because I don't remember. I know he was good in college, obviously, but did LSU do anything when he was there? Like, did they go far? Kenny, Google that.
Pull that up.
Shit.
Pull that up.
What's the frequency, Ken?
He was teammates with Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf.
He was actually.
Raheem. Isn't he? He's the first guy that didn't stand for the national anthem.
But did they make Sweet 16? They didn't win a national title.
Yeah, no. I could Google, I guess, but I just was curious if they.
Kenny,
what year was that? Kenny.
92.
Leon Badeau at Google, right?
Leon Badeau.
I was on last night.
I watched the entire thing on Sunday morning last Sunday.
Everybody argues over what's the best sports movie, but that's like the most realistic sports movie. Like
Oh, awesome.
It is so good.
One last thing on Shaq. Go YouTube the year 2000 Shaq. Anything you want to YouTube. YouTube Shaq's best move, Shaq's best this, Shaq's best that, his stats, and they say put that up against anybody you'll ever see. And so the first thing I Googled, Shaq got the ball with one hand, went like this, spin move, dunk. It was he looked like he was a point guard in a 330-pound body. It was unbelievable.
Now, we all remember the Jordan rule. This is another athlete, another basketball player who there was a defense strategy named after him called Hack-a-Shaq.
There were players that would average 3 minutes a game that got to play until they got 6 fouls. Just go in and foul them. That's all you got to do.
They had goons in the NBA.
Yeah. My one knock on the list is, and it's going to come off wrong, but I don't think Magic Johnson should be in the top 5.
Break it down.